So, because I'm so invested and interested in leadership, I get a lot of leadership quotes in my social media feeds. I get a lot of people talking about strategy, things of that nature. So, I thought it'd be fun for us to go through some of the sayings or quotes that leaders sometimes say that really aren't appropriate anymore, although I have heard some of these still in the workplace, and we'll dig into kind of what they mean and maybe what we could do going forward. So the first one we're going to talk about, and this is in no particular order, although I would love to do like some sort of top 10. These are all pretty bad, so rank them how you see it. But the first one is, I don't care how you get it done, just do it. I think this aims to be like some sort of empowering statement where you're talking to somebody and you're like, just get it done. And they're supposed to use that energy and just go forth and just knock it out. But actually, it can be a little bit destructive. I mean, first off, as a leader, I hope you do care how somebody gets it done, because if we're just letting somebody go loose, no matter what it takes to get something done, somebody could take that from an unethical approach and get your project or task done unethically. Would you want it done that way? I would imagine if somebody's using this statement, somebody's probably come to them and said they're having trouble with a project or running a task or something, and they're probably looking for guidance. And the leader is just telling them, I don't care how you do it, just get it done. If they're in that state of mind, there's a good chance that they're probably needing help in some capacity. And your job as a leader is not to just brush them off or push them away, but it's to find out where they're getting stuck. And yes, you could say to this person, maybe you can come at it from a different perspective. We don't know how they've approached the situation, but at the same point, it's not worth you just saying, do it however you need to get done. Sit down with them, talk to them about what needs to be done and where they're getting stuck. And maybe instead of saying, I don't care how you do it, just get it done, you could say, let's talk about what are some of the things that we can do to make sure this gets accomplished on time. The next one is, that's above your pay grade. I don't know if there's any statement that exists that would shut somebody up quicker than that one. Above your pay grade really bothers me. And this is actually one of the ones that I've heard recently, not in the specific tone of that's above your pay grade, but it's been in a similar instance. And I don't understand that. If somebody has a thought or a question or concern or whatever the case may be, why does it matter what level they are at? If they see a problem and they want to interject with a potential idea, does my idea not qualify because I'm not in a C-suite position? Is it somehow not as valuable? I hope that's not the case wherever you're working, because in my opinion, we should be looking at anybody that potentially has a solution to bring that to us to help us out, no matter what it is. We don't know what that idea is, and I would rather gather as much information as possible to make the best decision than just to say, you know what? You're not really worth it, so I'm not going to listen to you. And let's just say that maybe their idea wasn't up to par. What a great time for you to be able to coach them on why or what they could have been thinking about differently in order to make that idea a little bit better. Or again, when we're thinking about ideas, just because you don't use the entirety of that idea doesn't mean that you can't pull off bits and pieces of that idea and use that in order to make a solution work. Again, I think a better solution in this instance is obviously not just to state it all is, but we welcome any sorts of ideas. In fact, I would be going out as often as I possibly can to seek out ideas from the group, especially people that are closest to the problem. Typically, those individuals are going to be the ones that give you the best ideas out there. Now, they may not be something that we can push through because of budgeting concerns, whatever the case may be, but it is still worthwhile to explore options. Again, you may not be able to do 100% of it, but 50% of a great idea is still better than 0% of no idea. The next one, although very similar to the previous one, we're not paying you to think. Again, like this is one that I hope nobody is ever saying in any sort of capacity. I think if you're going out to somebody and saying, we're not paying you to think, we're basically telling that person the only use that you have is to be able to perform a task. That is it. You are basically a machine. You are not a person in any capacity. But again, like these are ones that I have heard in the past used. And it's crazy to think about those situations now, further along in my career and my leadership experience than what I heard back then. Now, back then, I didn't look at that situation and be like, oh, that was a really good piece of advice. It felt weird to me, but at the same time, early on in my career, I didn't have the confidence that I needed in order to step in and talk to that person to say, I think there was a better option that we could have used. And not only that, but I don't think there's a lot of peer accountability in a lot of the businesses that are out there right now. And maybe somebody is coming into a situation not looking at it in the best light. And we, as a peer, might look at that and say, well, I hope their boss talks to them about it. And maybe you give that advice to their boss so they can convey it. But realistically, I have gotten a lot of coaching from my peers around me on what I could do differently and better. And to me, that is a much better source of information than getting it third party. I mean, realistically, I'm sure a lot of you have played the telephone game, right? You're all sitting around in a circle. One person whispers something in the other person's ear, and it tries to go around this entire circle until it gets back to you. And by the time it gets back to you, it is completely changed. It's very similar, although it may not be as drastic as a circle of people, but when you convey a message to somebody's boss and they convey it back to that person, there is a lot of context that may be missed when they're giving that information. And so it is a much better resource for you to go to that person, not in a combative tone, but just to go to them to say, these are some of the things that I feel could be better suited for this situation. Again, I don't think there's a better solution for we're not paying you to think. Honestly, if you're saying this on a daily basis, I would highly recommend you stop and maybe stop to think a little bit about what you could do differently in your leadership career. Next one, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. I've actually come pretty close to saying this, but not specifically this. And when you first hear it, you might think it's actually a pretty empowering statement. And I don't think there's anything really wrong with the essence of it. Now, when I've talked to people about, hey, do you have a problem in your current role, or is there something that you're not liking and things of that nature? What solution do you currently have that maybe would make that problem go away? I think that's a different solution altogether. I think it's a different way of looking at it. When you're thinking about don't bring me problems, bring me solutions, to me, as I start thinking about that more, it sounds more like don't bother me with situations that aren't going right. Just fix it and move on. Like that's what I hear when I'm listening to that statement right now. And when I hear it like that, I absolutely don't like it. So for something like this, I would say, hey, let's work on this together. Let's see what we can do in order to find solutions together. I think that has a much better approach to it. And I don't think it sounds as combative as don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. The next one has a couple different variations. That's not how we've always done it, or we don't do it that way. Those are pretty similar, and I equally hate them both. I mean, talk about having the fastest way to make sure that your team never innovates. It's amazing. If anybody has started a new position and come into a company and asked questions about maybe a process and how it's done and why it's done a certain way, and you get that back, I think there's a different way of looking at it. I think if your excuse for why you're doing it that way is because you've always done it that way, it might not be the best solution for you. There might be a better way out there. It's interesting because just recently I saw a video that was talking about this husband and wife were in the kitchen. He was cooking dinner and they were making a ham, and he cut off both sides of the ham. And his wife was like, why do you cut off both sides of the ham? It seems like you're wasting a good chunk of meat. And he's like, that's just how my mom did it. That's how she always did it. And so that's how I learned it. And so she's like, well, have you ever asked her? And he's like, no, I really have never asked her about that. And so they gave his mom a call. And his mom was like, well, that's just how my mother taught me to do it. So that's just the way I did it. And so he actually called his grandmother and was like, hey, I was just trying to get some information. We always cut off the ends of the ham before we put it in the oven. And I was just curious as to why we did that. And she's like, well, because the pan I had was not big enough. And so I had to cut off both ends so that it would fit into the pan so that I could put it in the oven. And I thought that was really interesting because we tend to not challenge the status quo because that's just how it's always been done. And again, it's not to say that things that they're doing aren't good, but there could be ways of doing it better. And it's important for us to be able to challenge that, especially when you're coming into a new organization. I look forward to new people coming into an organization because they give a fresh perspective on things. Especially if I have been in the organization for quite a while, I want to hear a fresh perspective. If there's a better way of doing it, or maybe you've done it a better way, then I want to hear about it. Because again, I might be able to implement those things. So I think in these types of situations, instead of saying that's how we've always done it, say, you know what, that's new. Let's investigate that a little bit and see what we can find out. The next one is, it's just business, it's not personal. Again, this one sounds somewhat like you heard it from a movie, and it's probably been in quite a few movies, but realistically, I've heard it in businesses as well. I think a lot of times when leaders use this, they forget that there isn't always that clear definition of business and personal. In fact, when I look at it from my perspective, the work that I do, although maybe it's just work to some, I bring my heart and soul to it. I bring the passion, I bring the desire to do better every single day. And I can't do that stuff without getting personal. And so I can't have somebody ever tell me it's business, it's not personal, because realistically, you've got people that are bringing their heart and soul into everything that they do, and you can't use terminology like that. It will actually demotivate them tremendously. And from this perspective, I don't think that there's a better way of saying this. I think this is just one of those sayings that we also need to kind of put in the closet, lock the closet, bury it deep, and just forget about it for the rest of our lives. The next one is very similar to the it's above your pay grade. It's stay in your lane. This one I absolutely hear a lot of. I think this is one that people use quite a bit when they feel that maybe somebody doesn't have the expertise or the responsibility, the accountability, or maybe they don't just feel that they deserve to say anything in this matter. And although it's similar to the previous one, I don't think this one is as much of a upward momentum. This one can actually be cross, it could be lower, it could be a lot of different directions when you think about it. Staying in your lane means I don't want you here to either help, give advice, give direction, anything. I just want you to go on your own merry way and leave me alone. And again, like this one isn't something that I would recommend changing. I think leaders just need to be able to promote a cross-functional team. They need to be able to say, if you need help, and you need something from a group, or maybe you don't know, or maybe you're stuck. I think getting stuck is a great opportunity for you to go out to a bigger group and say, hey, I've thought about this. Is there anything that you might do differently? You might be surprised at what you hear and where you hear it from. Don't just look at the obvious. Throw it out to a much larger group, cast a wide net, and see what you pull in. You might be surprised. The next one I'm actually a little bit conflicted with. It's, I'm not here to be your friend. Now, I'm conflicted with this because I think it's important to be able to build strong relationships on your team. And although I can say it's probably important that you don't go out and make best friends with everybody on your team, and I think it might be a little bit impossible or improbable that you're going to be best friends with everybody on your team, I don't think that sentence in general is the best. I think you need to be cautious of the relationships that you have and always make sure you have a clean, defined understanding of what expectations are, and to know that these expectations aren't changed just based on our friendship. I want to be friends with the people that I work with. In fact, I work with people more than I see my family sometimes. And so for me to not expect to build relationships or have friendships with people, it's probably pretty stupid to even think about. So you have to be careful with it. But that's not to say that you should never tell somebody, I can't be your friend, or I'm not here to be your friend. Again, like, I get the sense of it. I'm not here to be your friend. You're their boss. Sure, I can understand that. But I don't ever feel the need to say that to somebody. In fact, the relationships I've built with the people around me allow me to be able to lead so much better because they know my expectations, they respect me, they respect the authority, and they're willing to go above and beyond because they know I'm going to go above and beyond for them. It's a very big give and take type of situation. Not in the sense that the more you give, the more you can take, but again, the more you're willing to support your team, the more they are willing to give you the support you might need in the future. Finally, the last one, I don't want to hear about a work-life balance. I think this is extremely rare nowadays, but again, I have heard people talk about the work-life balance. And I think that there is a little bit of a misconception about what work-life balance means. I have heard a lot of people talk about it's a 9-to-5 job or whatever your shift is, a hard line. When 5 o'clock hits, I throw my stuff in the drawer and I'm out the door. Yes, I want people to be able to live like that, but at the same point, work sometimes spills over into that world. At the same point, your personal life will sometimes spill over into the work time. And we have to be cautious of that. If my employees have an appointment that they have to go to during work hours, I expect them to do that. It would be stupid of me to think, you know what, you can schedule those on your off hours, especially if you've got people working a 9-to-5 Monday through Friday job. There is no time that they're going to be able to get into a doctor's. Most doctor's office, most banks, all that stuff closes at 5 o'clock and they're not open on the weekends. And so it's virtually impossible for them to do that. And so that is why I say it's not this fine line. And again, I have seen a lot of videos out there that talk specifically about this, that, hey, you know what? You're on my time. I'm not going to answer emails. I'm not going to answer text messages, all that stuff. And that's the thing, is like, there is an expectation that I think needs to be set specifically about situations. I don't expect people to answer emails and texts and things like that off of working hours. But at the same point, if I need something, I might actually reach out to that person. Now, if they're not available, I understand that. I'm going to look at that situation and be like, I sent them an email. It was at 9 o'clock at night. They didn't answer it. Why not? No, I would never look at it that way. If they are able to help out, I will recognize that. I will say, hey, you know what? I know it's late. Something came up and I really need your help. Are you available to help out? And that's where that relationship kind of comes back to it. The relationship that I have been able to build with the people around me allows me to get the buy-in from them in when those situations come up. And they know that I'm not going to abuse that power or abuse that relationship. And it will allow me to get their help a lot easier. And I have to be cautious of it, because too many times that I might use that, especially from the same person, they might feel used and abused, and I don't want them to ever feel that way. Kind of an honorable mention one that I wanted to kind of slip in there was one that actually I hear a lot in my work. And I can't tell you a quote or a saying that gives me goosebumps and frustrates me more than this one. And it's, pick your battles. This is usually said to me because I usually have a lot of discussion when it comes to ideas, projects, thoughts, opinions. I tend to give an opposite position. And it's not because I'm always trying to be combative. It's just the way my mind thinks. I want to look at every avenue possible so that we can make sure that we're making the best decisions. And I have gotten a lot of praise for this view, but at the same point, people have continued to say, pick your battles. And I'm not out there battling. Trust me, I may offer contention on certain ideas, but that is only because I want to make sure people have all the information. And so it's not me picking a battle, it's me just offering a solution or offering a different way of looking at things. I'm sorry if you're expecting everyone just to jump on board and do the things that you want done the way you want it done. To me, that just doesn't seem feasible. If you have an idea or a thought, I would expect you to throw that thought out there and say, destruct it, like go through it, destroy it. Let me know what you think. I want it to happen. If you think this is a bogus idea, please tell me that. And there's been a lot of situations where I have put that effort into it and it's been the wrong thought. And that's fine. I'm not opposed to being wrong. I just want to be able to offer perspectives so that when you come to the end of that solution, you know you've made the right decision. Thanks for listening today. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I would love to understand any quotes or sayings that you've heard in your job, or maybe something that you've heard online that really makes you cringe and that you hate. Leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Remember to hit that like and subscribe. It definitely helps me out. Remember, elevating yourself to the next level starts with just a single step. Make sure you take that step today. See you next time.